You jerk. Off you go. You will suffer for your transgressions. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Sean. People on the internet call me Spumwack. And today we are going to be mainly chatting about stuff. I realized just before recording that I have spread myself a little too thin, as I tend to do. I'm still working on the cruise ship, of course, but I've been trying to focus on things that would make my game more playable in the long term. So I've been mainly focusing on a lot of resource gathering type stuff rather than finishing the cruise ship because, quite frankly, I'm doing good on cobblestone. Pretty good on cobblestone since we've still got the quarry up and running. And actually, let me show you something about that. So I mentioned it last time. This dimension changer has a bad habit of rubber banding you back between dimensions. So what I do now is I throw it down as soon as I go down. I've noticed that stops the problem. So I just chuck it down with Q, and then we don't teleport back. And sometimes this makes a lag spike, I've noticed, because the game tries to teleport me, but it tells it doesn't have the dimension changer on me anymore. But it didn't look like that happened this time, so maybe I wouldn't have rubber banded anyway. So this is the quarry. It's been up for a while. I actually forgot to connect it to the item filter, so it wasted this entire quarry worth of items. And now it's just started on this one. These are the items that we've gotten so far. Not a whole lot, not a whole little, somewhere in the middle. I've snagged a whole bunch of gold and iron out of this thing a couple times. And the chests back here are just filled with this type. Oh, what was that? It is a safari net. Single use. Well, what's the point of that? I could just use a golden lasso. That's totally silly. One of the downsides I've noticed to having your quarry inside this mining dimension is that there's no clay. There's no clay at all, and clay is so useful for so many things. Namely, it is used for It's used for making bricks, which are used to make redstone furnaces, which I use for the tree farm. But we'll get around to that later today. So like I was saying, I was building useful stuff. One of the useful things I was building was the tree farm, and that is because I have made an upgrade to the jet. Which means I am now nicknaming this thing to the coal monster. You may be wondering why I'm doing that, and that is because this thing obliterates coal. It eats coal for breakfast. It eats coal for lunch, dinner, midnight snack, second breakfast, everything in between. There's no longer 32 engines on this plane. No. No. Instead, now, there are 25 engines on this side, 25 engines on the bottom, 25 engines on the side, although you can't see it because tucked inside, just underneath this carpenter's wedge block, is another 25 engines. This plane now has 100 steam engines powering it. Each steam engine holds 4 stacks of charcoal. That is 100 times 4 stacks of 64. That is over 25,000 coal it takes to fill this ship completely up with fuel. That is over 7 double chests filled with coal just to run this plane for 30 minutes. So, that's why I have called this thing the coal monster. We can get around to where I've gotten my coal from, and let me remind you, I do not have 25,000 on me. I had to fund my life supply of coal just to run this plane, which we're going to get right now, because I know if I don't, everyone's just going to go ahead and skip ahead in the video. So, we have to tear this thing down. I decided to turn it, or make it out of skystone, that way it wouldn't break down very easily, because this thing holds a lot of coal, and I really don't want coal flying everywhere all over the air. This is also just a temporary solution. This chest is going to be... whatever. I could lose a few stacks, doesn't matter. I'm using 25,000. 64, 128 is not going to make a difference. So, if you couldn't tell, all of our coal is being piped in through an interior series of transfer pipes. You place the chest right here. That's all you have to put the charcoal into. It goes inside the transfer pipes, and they automatically fill up every single steam engine, although it is not a fast process. I don't know how long it takes if you just have... I mean, I don't know how long it takes to put 31 speed upgrades worth of coal into 100 steam engines. But if I had to guess, it would take maybe 5 or 10 minutes. I just had to keep doing trips back and forth to fill up the Skystone chest, which is, you know, just, again, a temporary solution. So I know you're itching to have me drive this thing. So let's go ahead and get in the driver's seat. Let's reassemble. Got all of our blocks, 52, 818. Mount ship. And actually, hold on a second. Let's get out of this thing. I want to rename this thing. You are... Oh, you know what the problem is I'm not disassembling it. No, disassemble. There we go. That's cool, we can actually jump out of the cockpit that way also. We need to rename this thing first. Rename to... the Coal Monster! Bah! Bah! Done renaming to the Coal Monster. You're assembled, you're the Coal Monster. Let's mount the Coal Monster and get ready to ride. So, let's go down real quick, shall we? Shoop! That is insanely fast for an Archimedes ship, and you can actually see all of our steam engines running when we go up and down like that as well. So, let's go ahead and turn this thing around. This thing actually turns around very, very poorly because of how fast it turns around. So let's say right there. I don't really know, but as soon as we say forward, it'll like, yep, give us a little bit of course correction. Because of lag and the way Archimedes works, unfortunately, it's not the best at turning. So this is... I don't have my map anymore. This is basically the speed that we were going before, which I find really, really unfortunate. I think there's probably an upper limit on how fast planes can go, because it does not seem like it's going any faster than when I use 32 engines. So that's why I, didn't really focus too much. Is there a player down there? Can we mess with someone? I thought I saw a player. Someone? Oh, there is someone. Who is that? Da 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 da. Who is that? That's Top Mass. That is Top Mass. I don't think he's seen the plane yet. Dude, little turns all over. Wet. Double wet. Well, glad he's checking out my plane. Yep, it is a neat plane. Unfortunately, we've probably burned through about 1/16 of our coal already. Right. Alright, I'm taking off. I don't need Top Mess getting all up in my business. Well, at least we're way faster than him. So remember, as long as we park the plane facing east, then it shouldn't be a problem. As I park, like you saw in my last episode, if I park in any other direction other than east, all of the carpenter's blocks get all wonky and face weird directions. But, I don't know. I think for effective use, I'm probably going to limit the number of engines on my planes in the future, because there is absolutely no reason... By the grace of God. It costs 25k for 30 minutes. Hold on, I just have to brag real quick. 25k charcoal for 30 minutes. And we'll get around to that in a second. We'll get around to how I'm funding this endeavor. I was just saying, yeah, you just park east, and it is totally fine. So where, you might ask, am I getting 25,000 charcoal from? Well, luckily, I've got a fancy new tree farm. This was providing, if you recall, it was using about 2% of its energy fueling itself, and whatever, this 98% of its energy was going into these furnace generators. Is roughly, I did the math on that, and that's how it figures. And I wasn't doing anything with this 98%. That's how much just pure energy I was able to get. That's not the coal I was generating, that's just the energy I was turning furnace power. I still did have about 9,000 coal generated in here. It's obviously less now because I just had to fuel the plane, and now I've got the ender chest. So that was with that one birch tree farm. Now as you go through the portal, you see a new fancy area I got to. We're at negative 10,000. I drank some liquid ender, and it teleported us here because I just wanted to have a whole area all to myself to build a fancy old workshop. We'll probably move a lot of the item stuff over here and then transfer items into like some sort of ME terminal. I don't know, haven't figured it out yet. But I'm really concerned with lag because it's getting kind of laggy in the cruise ship area, so that's why I wanted to build something away from there. So this is our fancy new coal generation plant. Oh, do you see all that? See that jungle tree get eaten up? That was so much coal. So much coal. So I'm going to get into how I built this thing. Hello, spruce tree. Would you like to turn into coal? Instantly? Poof. There we go. So, I am lying, actually. It's not turning into coal instantly. It would be nice. I've actually tried using Tinkers, putting auto smelt on an axe in here, and unfortunately, it doesn't recognize... You know what I just realized? It doesn't recognize lumber axes, but it may recognize normal Tinker's axes. I'm actually going to have to try that out. I'm going to see if we can auto smelt these things, because that would be insane. That would be ludicrous, and it would save me a lot of time and energy. Because half this machine is just built towards getting the energy necessary. Oh, I guess the energy is just for the harvesting, so we're going to need to fuel this thing with energy anyway. But it would get us the coal way faster, because right now the limiting factor is these redstone furnaces. Notice all these things have jungle wood in them. Jungle wood for the first 5, and then spruce for the next 5, and that's all it is. We're actually just hanging on to the coal and the birch. They're not even giving us charcoal. They are just getting stored inside these deep storage units, and I'll go over how this entire thing works in a second. It's mostly the same as the last one, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. So I'm going to be focused more on structure than form, because I sort of described the form in the last one. So we've got the different farming stations all set up in front of these layers of different saplings. Originally, I had put oak saplings down here, and it was a layer of birch, a layer of oak, etc., but I accidentally didn't give the birch enough room. So I tore that down, I put oak right here, and then it turns out oak can grow right through pipes, which is really freaking annoying. So I had to replace the oak and the birch, and it looks like it is functioning as it should now. Occasionally, we saw it up there earlier, yeah, some of the jungle tree has some random branches that it doesn't harvest. Oak to oak, is it going to do the same thing right here? Maybe branches? No, doesn't look like it. Sometimes the branches way out here don't get harvested for some reason, so that's bad news bears. Looks like it did that time. But anyway, so as long as we have the oak off to the side, then the sideways going branches don't seem to do any damage to anything. Birch, of course, isn't a problem. It's, you know, it's got too much airspace right here. It's got unnecessary airspace, but I really just didn't feel like moving this whole thing up when I switched places of these two. So that's why birch is so low. Spruce is actually not as... There you go. This is as high as I've seen spruce load. It got up to about right here. And so I just put cobblestone on top of that and then dirt on top of that. So occasionally we do get the really super mega tall spruce sapling growing up. And I wanted to make sure that they wouldn't grow up through here. So that's what the layer of what the cobblestone is for. But I don't think they grow this tall. This is way too much space. And then up here, of course, we got all the jungle saplings, which provide us just so much wood. It's like spruce, except it's got branches branching off to the sides. It's just wonderful. It's the bee's knees. So I'm running this thing sort of like the last one. Each of these farming stations has very little power in any given moment. That's because I've noticed that when they run on maximum power, they tend to waste a lot of it, and I don't know where, but they run on minimum, it saves you a lot of power. So most of these things are mostly dead. Probably the birch not as dead as the spruce and the jungle are. I'm not sure if the same goes for the oak, because the branches do occasionally cause for, oh, yeah, you're even less dead. But that's because you don't share your power. Yeah, the oak gets its own dedicated power line for some reason. I'm not sure why. And then the birch is where the power goes before it gets split between the spruce and the jungle. But it still harvests as fast as the trees grow. I'm not unhappy about that at all. Now, both of these are being powered by two furnace generators that are, sorry, 2 times 8 furnace generators, and these things run on times 8 energy, not like our previous machine that ran off of a single times 1. These, we have 2 that run off times 8 because they also fuel a lot more redstone furnaces. We don't just have 4, we have 10, which admittedly is a small amount, but whenever we want to add more, we can. This thing has been in existence for like 2 hours, and it's already stored 10,000 spruce and 24,000 jungle. Not very much oak. Only 1,700 oak and 2,600 birch. That's so weird that oak is going so slowly, and it's got power too. I don't know why. I guess it just grows really slowly. But yeah, so it's been on my to-do list to grow out more redstone furnaces. Now, that explains the tree farm. That is just step 1. That's just step 1. So one of the things that I'd like to build is a runway. And in order to house planes that are roughly this size it needs to be a really big runway. Like, bigger than the loading distance. So, maybe as big as the loading distance, if we wanted to be conservative with it. I was thinking maybe 2 loading distances. But one of the things that the limiting factors of the runway is that I was sort of just, you know, wanting it to be made out of something black so it just looks like pavement. Whee! Falling down. It was supposed to be black so it looks like pavement, but small issue with that is that I would like to be able to land my planes and disassemble them. That way they turn into block form so that I'm not all pushing them around when they're in non-block form because, well, let me show you what I'm talking about here. Let me just jump in our ship real quick. We still got a little bit of fuel. Let's head down to the ground, to the very nipple of the world. And then get up. Let's see if we can park this thing on some actual ground somewhere, anywhere. I know you're real big and you're all cumbersome and frustrating and all getting in my way. Anyways, let's just get out. So we get out of the ship. It's just a weird way of parking your ship. We could, but I don't really see the point in that. It seems unnecessary because you need to disassemble it to refuel it, and I think it's actually using fuel right now while it's parked. So we need to build... Hey, shoot me. We need to build a hangar that is capable... Where's my armor, or my health at? Is it just not going down at all? There we go. It's just not showing it going down, but you can see my hearts right here. Anyways, let's get back in this thing. Let's head back up. Let's repark it east. Turn it east. That is... when the so many engines, the turning is ludicrous. You basically have no idea what direction you're going, ever. Alright, so... face east. And... okay. And then disassemble. We good. We good. So that is why I want to build the entire runway. Instead of building it out of something concrete related, we need to build the entire thing out of shore buffers. Why do I have so much charcoal on me? That is unnecessary. Let's go ahead and throw you into the ender chest, which is already full. Just kidding. JK lol. Oh, you know what? This was going to have to go back into the ship anyway. Oh well. So, if you know how to make a shore buffer, it requires ink sac and floaters. Floaters require wool and oak. Or I guess just any wood. No? Just oak and acacia? Is that... I guess that's the only two. I guess we could try it with other ones. You could try it with spruce and birch, but I don't know. That's why we're trying to save up a whole lot of oak as well. In short, we're going to need a whole lot of shore buffers. And to go into every shore buffer, you need a piece of ink, a piece of wool, and a piece of oak. It is absolutely no mistake that I am now in charge of a deep storage unit which has 169 pieces of wool, which is not gonna be our limiting factor. We've got 64 times 64 ink sacs, plus what we have in the chest over here. I actually think I need to get more than that to be able to build the size runway that I'd like to build. And of course, the tree farm, even though it's only got a couple thousand, it's only been running for a couple hours. If we give this thing a couple days, we are going to be in charge of, you know, tens of thousands of pieces of oak. So we're going to build a very, very, very expensive runway. And actually, I'm just thinking about it now. I don't think that I'm thinking of shore buffers correctly. I think they have to be placed on the ship, which would be really unfortunate. Which means we would need to place a layer of shore buffers at the bottom of the plane, which of course would look very, very, very silly, but I don't know if you can make landing stuff out of shore buffers. That would suck! I'm gonna have to experiment real quick, and I think I already know the answer to the experiment, because shore buffers are meant to be attached to ships, so of course they're probably gonna attach. Let me try it, just to be super safe. Okay, shore buffer is crafted, and I was correct in assuming that the shore buffer... Or, sorry, I was correct in assuming that the... What's it called again? The floater. Yeah, it can only be made with oak and acacia. For whatever reason, other woods just don't work. So I'll place you right there. Assemble blocks 821, 818. Why did we go down a handful of blocks? I don't think I tore anything off of this thing. Let's just go ahead and mount it. See what happens. And, oh, look at that. It does look like, for whatever reason, the shore buffer, even though I totally thought that it would automatically attach to the ship. Let's try that one more time. Let's try it to assemble 818, exactly the same number of blocks. And cool, so it looks like the shore buffer is what I was thinking of. So you can place it on the ground, and then as long as the plane lands on the shore buffer, you can disassemble it, refuel it, do whatever you want with it, and it should not cause any problems. The one I was thinking of was probably the floater. I do believe the floater is the one that you can attach to your ship, and that prevents it from docking with other stuff nearby. So that covers everything I wanted to cover. Oh, almost everything I wanted to cover in today's episode. I can't promise I'll get around to the runway next episode because of the limiting number, or the limiting amount of ink sacks I have, and possibly the wood. The tree farm may not be around for that long. So, I mean, I'm presuming it might take like a week or so of running to get the amount of wood that I'm thinking to build an entire runway out of shore buffers. I guess I wouldn't need to. I just need to build the inside of the hangars. But, anyways, now we've got a functional ship. We got plans for a hangar. I just wanted to discuss one last thing before we go, and that is the Patreon. Couple Patreon things. First of all, I want to thank everybody who has donated the dollars. There was donated the dollars to get a statue on the ship. If you're wondering where your statue is, I've gotten a few people asking. We need to wait until the end of the month for the payments to actually process, because myself and a few other people, even iJevin, were noticing people that would donate money and then get the reward and then rescind their donation before their card ever got charged. So unfortunately, because that is a possibility, that's something you can do to basically scam the system, we need to actually wait until the end of the month to actually start getting rewards, which is why I sort of, advertised it as a whole September thing. So at the end of the month, if you still want to donate, you still got time. You can be a $1 Patreon donor to get your statue on the outside of the ship so far. So far, I'm up to, I think, 70 Patreon donors, guys. We're going to have a really awesome ship outside. Probably in between these episodes, I'm going to find a way of making this outside region looks better and extend my ship downwards right here. But I still have more technical stuff I need to do. I need to build a quarry on the surface because I desperately need clay. Even though that quarry's been up and it's quarried 3 quarries, not maximum size quarries, but quarried 3 fairly tall quarries, there's just no clay in the mining dimension. Look at this. We got 1 bit of clay right there and 2.5 stacks right there. It's absurd. For how many hundreds of thousands of everything I have, I've got so very, very little clay. It's actually quite upsetting. So that is the plan at the moment. Did that really go all the way down? I'm gonna drown to death if I grab this thing. Oh, there's a little air pocket right here, right? Woo-hoo. It's exciting. So, note to self, don't face east. Is that a hole to the void? That's scary. That's terrifying. I don't want to go into the void right now. Note to self, if you come out of this thing facing east, actually, let's just go ahead and take a handful of wood right here and make sure that accident doesn't happen again. I've really just come around here to show you that I had tens or hundreds of thousands of blocks. And I think we're actually going to be getting rid of some springs when we do this also. Yep, so this is going to cause a decent amount of frame rate lag. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That's fine. That's where we were shutting the day off at. I just wanted to come over here and show you just the sheer number of cobblestone I have. I may, try to find a way to start turning this into bedrockium. Or at least just compress. I don't know, 500,000, I think that's not even very much. Once you start compressing cobblestone, hundreds of thousands start to seem like very, very, very little. So I would need to, probably get one of the fancier quarries in this. This is just the crappy quarry, because I haven't looked into the other one. This is just because I was lazy and I needed more raw resources. But you could get into the Quarry Plus from Quarry Plus. And I think that's the one you can basically set with an endless size. So that can give you a lot of freaking resources. And that's why the mining dimension is what it is. That's why it's here. So we can just do that and have stuff all ugly. But I don't feel like researching that yet. Don't feel like much getting into it. So this is the stuff we have as of right now. And this is what we got to work with. So, yeah, I think that about covers it for today's episode. Now I've ended it basically 3 times already, and if you were waiting for the official end, I think this is it. So in a few more days, we'll be getting these statues done. Sometime next week, we'll be working on building the sweet runway and the hangar. I've got a whole bunch of freaking coal and stuff, and what I wanted to do, I really wanted to actually start getting into witchery, because now I have the saplings to justify building an automatic witch's oven thing like I talked about last episode. So that's probably what I'm going to do. Yeah. I'm making decisions live on camera. Because I've been meaning to advance my witchery for a very long time. We're in so much nature right here. Look at all these flowers and stuff. Not for me. Not for me. And we can finally start cooking all of our saplings in here. 917, yada yada yada. We can start somewhere over here building like a witch's oven, like a line of, what is it, 26 witch's ovens is I think the recipes for the various, it's some sort of essence, right? No, it's not essence. Extract? I can't. Whatever. Well, basically, whatever you use witch's ovens for, we're going to have 26 of them all hooked up to the different things that you can cook with them. So we'll have all the various essences available, and we can start advancing through witchery and hopefully start trolling some people. Yeah. So that does it for today, guys. I will talk to you next time.